Welcome everybody to another episode of Ramsey's Rockin' Roads. Scott Ramsey here, along with my sidekick, Funny Boy Shane. We're here on this beautiful, actually getting a little bit hot out here. I feel a little bit of sweat running down my back right now. But anyway, we're gonna jump right in. This is gonna be an episode that Shane and I have been talking about. Shane and I have been talking about this for probably about a year now. And obviously we're on the side of the road, like risking life and limb on the side of the road here in Los Alamos, California to do this podcast. But I think the reason it took me so long, or it took us so long to come to this day, is because I was trying to figure out how to take what I learned and actually put it into something usable for all of you guys out there. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we came up with something good, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So anyway, let's call this the life cycle of a business. And let me give you a little history on this. So I went to an all-day course taught by a gentleman who I've never heard of before, and I have not seen him after, Dr. Gerald Faust. Brilliant guy. I enjoyed the class. I can't even remember. It was either in Santa Barbara or Carpinteria all day long. And the walk away from, and you guys are gonna laugh and say, yeah, what did I really get from the class? But the walk away, which I kept his business model from infancy to death. And I kept his model. Now his model kind of replicates the heartbeat of the US, corporation, big business, blue chip companies, you know, the publicly traded corporations, Google, Apple, and it follows the life cycle of these guys. Well, those companies, as we all know, those companies are like 1% of the economy, and the real economy comes from us guys that are out there day to day, us guys and girls that are out there every day hustling, the mid-sized business. So when I read this business model or this business projection for the first time, I kind of was like riding the wave. And this was like 2000, as I said, it was 2015, 2016, 2017. I went to this all-day course, and I tried to pinpoint where I was on the scale, because from the beginning to the end, from life to death, it's pretty spot on. So let's jump right into it. So you guys may agree, may not agree, and I'd encourage you guys to figure out where are you on this life cycle. Now, I've been in business long enough to where I remember the year, I remember the month, I remember, you know, there's going to be one point in the life cycle, which is the adolescence, the go between go and adolescence, and we're going to talk more about that. For me, that was 2008. And it couldn't have been a worse time. That was right at the recession crash, and it was at the worst part for me to think that my edit bleep didn't stink, right? So anyways, so let's jump right in. So the first part, which I follow Dr. Faust, the first part of this life cycle of a business is the courtship phase. Dr. Faust had a little bit of a different ideology than I have, but I call the courtship phase the point in which you decide you're gonna go start your business. Now, why do people decide they're gonna start their business? Why did I decide I'm gonna start my business? Well, so most of us start our businesses because we're working for somebody, and we look at them and say, if this joker can do it, if this guy, this girl, if this, maybe some of us even say fool, if this fool can do it, anybody can do it. I'm really good at what I do. I'm like, for me, back in the day, I was the best raker. I wasn't really a great operator back then, but I could get the job done. But I knew the asphalt world. Let's like Michael Gerber says, I was a good technician, and I was good at my trade. And I looked at the people I'm working for, and I'm like, God, man, if these guys can do it, I certainly can do it. Which maybe yes, maybe no. So anyway, so that's the courtship phase. You haven't started yet, but now you're courting the idea. You're toying with the idea of starting your business. And then you go, well, how can I get money? How can I get financing? Do I want a partnership? Do I want to go in with family? How do I raise money? Do I go get loans? So that's all part of the courtship phase. in my opinion. Dr. Faust might have a different opinion on it, but that's my opinion. Now we go to the infant stage of our business. Now the business has started. We are full on, balls to the wall, go, go, go. Business has started, but we are competing with people that have been, we're a new little baby, fragile baby of a company, and thus the infant stage. So we take on anything and everything. We're happy to take the job on, the hardest job, the worst job, the muckiest jobs. We get the jobs that nobody else wants. We're in the infant stage. We get the jobs nobody else wants. And we take the money that is offered to us as well. Hey, I'll do your job for $5,000. No, I'll give you $3,500. Okay, I'll do it for $3,500. Even though you needed the $5,000, you'll do it for $3,500. But that's okay, because during this time, you're gonna find errors in your bidding process. You're gonna find that even by you doing the job for $3,500, you made more than you really thought you were gonna make, because you don't know what you don't know. And I've talked about that in other podcasts before. You don't know what you don't know. So you need to make these mistakes. And then you might jump into a job that's a $10,000 job, and somebody says, hey, I'm not gonna pay you $10,000, but I'll give you $9,000, but you really needed 12 to do the job. And you'll learn that too. That's all part of the infant stage. We fall, we crash, we break down, we get bumps, we get bruises, we get cuts. We're infants at this point. Now we go to the go-go stage, and I'm right in line with Dr. Gerald Faust. The go-go stage is you've kind of gotten over that hump. You've got some clients. You've got some clients under your belt. You've got repeat business. People are now calling you. They're calling you out of the phone books, the yellow books. I say the yellow book, but nobody uses a yellow book anymore. You know, obviously it's Google, Yelp, search engines. That's how most of us are being found. Billboards on the side of our trucks. I mean, that's how we're being found now these days. But now we're in the go-go stage where it seems like everything we touch turns to gold. Every job we bid, we get. Every job we do turns out to be a success. And we're getting quite the ego at this point. Now, like I said, I can remember every year, every stage of my business when this happened. So that's why I gained this real respect and admiration for Dr. Faust, because he was right on the money. So now we're at the go-go stage. Now for me, the go-go stage for me, and I'm going to digress here a little bit. The go-go stage for me was the point in which I thought, okay, well, I'm a paving contractor, I'm a seal coating contractor, I'm a striping contractor. Now I'm going to get into I'm going to get into material brokering, truck brokering. I'm going to help my partner with selling real estate. So Ramsey Asphalt was the cash flow, but at that point in my life, I didn't really think of Ramsey Asphalt or my business as being anything more than just cash flow to get me to the next stage where I was going to make my millions. So got into real estate, flipping. I flipped a house, which I lost money on. So this was the go-go stage where it seemed like everything I touched turned to gold. And actually, unbeknownst to me, everything I was touching was everything I was touching was as flat as a playing card, like a domino. It was about ready to come crashing down. And so some people don't make it, some businesses don't make it past this point because they get themselves, and to be honest, guys, I don't know how I made it through that point either. It was divine intervention, the reason we're still here to this day. Hard work and divine intervention, and that's the reason why we're still here. So anyway, so now we go, if we've survived through the go-go stage, now we're at adolescence. Now, in the adolescence area, we find out really who's our friends, who's not our friends. We find out who our good clients are and who our not so good clients are. During this period, we've struggled, and we've clawed our way out of this hole to now we're a little bit wiser. Now we're starting to read books. Now we realize we don't know everything. Now we realize that we're just as ignorant at this point as the day we started the company, because yeah, I might have been a good technician, but I was a really bad business person. This is the point which we find that out. And we have two choices. We either bite the bullet and learn and grow and go ask questions and read books and listen to Audible, or we wither away and we just let somebody come in and take over our company, and that's it. That's the end of it. So let's go on. Let's assume that we've made it past the go-go stage. Now we're in the adolescence. Can we hold that out that way? Thank you, Shane. So now we're at the adolescence, where we're finding out who our really true loyal employees are. Because guys, you'll find out that there's employees that we have that collect a paycheck day to day to day. And then once you get to that point of just having a semblance of success or some element of success, they want a piece of it or they're going to go. And that doesn't seem like, and they haven't really done anything to really invest in the company. They haven't really done anything. They didn't put their family's livelihood on the line. They didn't put anything on the line. They just showed up every day for a paycheck on Friday. And you're going to find those employees. And then you're also going to find those customers that when you quote a job and they say, nope, I'm not giving you your 10,000. You can do it for 8,000. And you're just like, hey buddy, I need that money. I've got my accounting dialed in. I've got my overhead dialed in. I need that 10 in order to do that job for you that you really want and you expect out of me. I need that 10,000. And this is the time where you realize the customers you want to work for and the people that you want to have around you, the employees you want to have around you, because you give all of us parents give the analogy of when we're kids, you got to watch out who you hang out with. If you're hanging out with friends that are into drugs and gangbanging, you're probably going to end up on drugs or you're probably going to start gangbanging. Well, the people we hang out with in business is exactly the same. It's no different. If you're hanging around people that are really negative and naysayers and they're not upbeat and they're not positive, you will become part of that. You will become negative. You will become a naysayer. And we're getting to that because it's coming up in a couple more phases. So during the adolescent phase, we start learning as a person. We take what we learned as being a technician or a tradesman, and we now start implementing that into business. We start creating our own systems, and we start running a little bit of a better, well-oiled system, okay? Now we get into prime. Now prime, you're not quite at the top of the hill about ready to start heading toward death, but you're just creeping up to the top. So a prime, you are at in my opinion, prime means you have stuck with it. You've got enough time invested to where you are an outlier. You are the expert. You are the Michael Jordan of your industry, where people look at you and say, how does he do that? How did they just do Michael Jordan? I watch videos even to this day. We have LeBron, we have Kobe, and I watch videos of Michael Jordan and I'm still amazed 30 years later at what Michael Jordan did. It amazes me. And he was an outlier. He amazed people, but it's 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours in order to become the master of your trade. 10,000 hours. The people that have the heartbeat of the U.S., of business, of sports, of being a professional, 10,000 hours. And I don't know, if I went back and I added up all of my hours at the point in which I became at the prime level, I was probably well over 10,000 hours, but I didn't have the skill to implement. I didn't have the dedication. I didn't have the commitment. I didn't have the consistency. And so it was at that point. It's at that point in our prime where we become the expert in our field, to where you have competitors calling you for advice. Hey Scott, this is so-and-so. Why is the emulsion doing what it's doing? Or are you experiencing this? Are you experiencing that? Or what are you doing with your PAGA lawsuit? Or you become the expert in your field. And so you become well respected in your field. The next phase, now we're at the top. We're about ready to crest over. Now it's called the stable. You've been in it for a long time and you're stable. You're at the income level you want to be at. You don't want to rock the boat. And this is actually, in my opinion, once again, all of this is my opinion. A lot of you may agree, may not agree. This is the point in which most people don't want to rock the boat. And this is the start of death, because you're happy with where you are. You're not interested in growth. You're not interested in expanding. You're not interested in anything. And so now the company is kind of starting to be ran by the accountants. It's kind of being ran by the dollars and cents. It's not really being ran by what's good for the client. or what's new, what's innovated, what's livelihood out there. Now, as we cross over, us small businesses, and I'm going to give you a couple examples. Us small businesses in the stable stage, we just want to ride it out. We're happy with where we are in life. We don't want to rock the boat. We don't really want to risk anything. Well, big businesses, on the other hand, have no choice. They have to grow. They have stockholders they have to answer to. They have board members they have to answer to. Well, what do they do in order to stay stable and continue to grow? Well, what big business does, what Apple, what Google, they all do it. What Apple, Ford, Chevy, all big business, Fortune 500, all of them do the same thing. They just buy the little guys. And that's how they breathe life back into the company. That's how they breathe life. That's how they keep these companies. How do you think Apple has stayed on top for all these years? You know, Steve Jobs has been gone for a decade now, maybe 2 decades now. And so, but Apple is still innovative because they're continuing to buy these little guys, and that breathes life, new energy into the company. Well, us small businesses, we're not sitting on bajillions of dollars to where we can just go out and buy the next little guy. What we do is we have to stay innovative. We have to stay positive. We have to stay kind of like the last episode we did when we were talking about rejuvenation. Life evolves. The world evolves. Technology evolves. That's how we, for free, literally for free, that's how we stay innovative, and that's how we breathe new life into our companies is read a good book, you'll get an idea. That's all I've done. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I graduated in every test I take, C+ or C-. I actually recently had to take a test, 75%. And I told everybody, we were all laughing about it, at least I'm consistent. From high school to college to every tradesman test I take, 75%, 78%. I'm a C+ student. Anyway, so that's how we breathe life back into our companies. So stable. Now, at the point in which we're at the stable, we don't want to rock the boat anymore. Now we start watching the economy. Big mistake. We start watching the news. And during this stage, we get tighter and tighter and tighter because we worked all day, went home to relax, turned on the news, getting tighter, pour a cocktail, getting tighter. Now we've actually gone into the next stage of cynical. Now we've crossed over the hump into cynical to where we know there's no good employees out there. That's why we're not expanding anymore. There's no more good employees. They're all drinking on the job, smoking dope on the job, stealing from the company. They don't want to work anymore. Now we're full on ensconced cynical. Now, Dr. Faust would call this the aristocratic stage of a business. Yeah, and maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know. Like I said, a lot of this is my own opinion, and for where I'm at in my business, I can see I'm throwing curveballs all the time with my business and the level it's at, to where I catch myself getting cynical. I catch myself like just shaking my head. I'll give you guys an example. So years back, and we've all been through this, where years back we don't have necessarily the greatest of crews. It doesn't matter what business you're in. I don't care if you knit baskets. I don't care if you're a drywall guy. I don't care if you're a paving contractor. Back in the day, it was us the leader, and we had some minions that would help us, and maybe we weren't doing the greatest of job. However, the finished product would have to be nice, or we just simply wouldn't get paid. Well, now we grow and we learn, and now we're at the stable point of our life, or we're at the prime stage of our careers. Now we have really good, because we are the experts, and now we've got the systems in place. We've got the good crews, and that's kind of where I'm at in my career, and where I find myself just getting cynical and shaking my head is this year, 2026, we literally we've turned out the most beautiful jobs, nobody has complaints. And we've got Santa Barbara County inspecting, Caltrans inspecting, and at the end of the job, the customer just says, yeah, I'm not gonna pay you. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. And that's like, what? Why am I hearing from your lawyer? What did I do wrong? You can talk to them about it, just straight up. So life will throw you curveballs, and it's just a matter of bouncing back, putting a smile put a smile on your face, and literally you have no choice. Turn it over to the attorney and just let him hash it out. So, but all the while you have to stay away from being cynical, because that just leads to other issues where you don't really want to work for anybody because you just know you're not going to get paid. Nobody wants to pay you, and it's going to cost you $1,000 to collect. It's going to cost you, well, let me give you a more realistic example in the asphalt world. It's going to cost you $50,000 to collect $60,000, so you might as well just walk away from it. So that's my definition of a cynic. So now we've actually crossed over the hump into cynicism. And as we travel down this road of cynicism, if we don't realize that what's happening, if we don't catch it in time, then the health of the owner gets affected. And Dr. Faust would call this early bureaucracy. Well, when it's owner-operator or small business owner, I don't think there's really early bureaucracy involved here. I think it's more the health of the owner, which affects the whole, it affects everything about the synergy of the company. It affects everything. When the owner gets unwell and the body parts start failing, the mind's not working right, the body's not working right, then the whole culture of the company is gonna for sure start declining. And this is the natural progression of things. The cynicalness and the stress of that kind of life is going to lead to a deterioration of health. Now, Dr. Faust calls one of the final stages before death bureaucracy. A lot of you, and I mean this with no disrespect, but I add in here, second generation takes over. This is where the son, the daughter, the nephew, the uncle, somebody comes in and says, hey, Pops, I'm here. I'm the savior. I'm going to help. You just go off in peace and pass away, or just go rest at home and deal with your ailments. We're gonna take over. And I don't know that I necessarily need to go into much about second generation or third generation, because go read a good book. Statistics tell us that there's reasons why partnerships don't work. Books tell us the guys that have the heartbeat of America on business, MIT, Harvard, Berkeley, these guys will tell you why second generation doesn't work. The reason why second generation doesn't work most of the time is because second generation hasn't been in the trenches. They haven't been taught. Well, they literally miss the go-go stage, the adolescent stage, and the prime stage. They weren't able to go make those mistakes. They weren't able to become an expert. They're just taken over on, they're taken over on the heels of the previous generation, and then they never become the expert in their field. And so that's why, in my opinion, that's why second generation. Now I know I have friends that are second generation. They're doing well. They're doing really well. But Dad didn't just hand it off to him, or uncle or grandpa didn't just hand it off to him. They were there side by side. Grandpa worked the hell out of those kids. Dad worked the hell out of those kids. Taught them the way, taught them, hey, this is work ethic. This is how it's done. You're in the trenches. We're all going to suffer together. Second generation, golden. Second generation, better than first generation, because they already experienced the mistakes from first generation, so they're going to do it. And a lot of times, second generation, they take it. If they can become a true, respected expert in their field, they will inevitably take it to the next level. And they will take it to a place where Dad or Grandpa never saw it going. And I have friends, and not in the asphalt business, some are in the asphalt business, but I have friends, kitchen remodeling business, a plumbing business. I mean, there's hundreds of stories where second generation has done well, or third generation has taken it to a level that nobody ever expected. I think two of my heroes in this world, Disney. I feel like if Disney had really been able to live long enough to see what Disney has become today, even Disney himself wouldn't believe what it's become today. Steve Jobs, if Steve Jobs would have lived long enough to see what Apple has become today, I don't even think he would have believed what kind of monster and what kind of, how the world has grown to depend. I mean, we wouldn't be here filming today if it wasn't for Apple. That's just the fact of it. Apple has touched all of our lives in practically in every moment of every second of every day. Apple has an impact on our lives, and it's the inevitability of it. And that is a true testament to, you just wish that these forefathers had been able to see their empires grow and to see what it had come to. Even Henry Ford, seeing what Henry Ford see what Henry Ford started out to, and seeing what these vehicles are now, it just is absolutely amazing to me. So we talked enough. We beat a dead horse about second generation. Statistics, you guys that are second generation, statistics are not on your side. Read, learn, grow. Don't be egotistical. It's okay to admit you don't know. It's okay to admit you don't have all the answers. It's okay to make mistakes. You have to make mistakes. Like Les Brown tells us, the mistakes we make is nothing more than the tuition we have to pay for what we don't know. That's it. The mistakes we make, the money we pay is the tuition we have to pay for what we don't know. You're either going to go to college and pay for it, or you're going to learn the School of Hard Knocks. Either way, you're going to pay for it, no matter what. The last stage of a business is, unfortunately, death, or being acquired, or bankruptcy, or no more, or second generation just says, second generation throws in the towel, or dad's health gets so bad that he just can't operate the company. And at that point, some vulture comes in, swoops it up for pennies on the dollar, and that business is never thought of again, never talked about again, and will forever be forgotten. The business just never left its mark on the world, and it's unfortunate. But getting back to this model, this business model, the life cycle of a business model, I believe that Dr. Gerald Faust, we got to give him credit. He was spot on with his business model. And then what I did is I just took it and I dumbed it down for all of us. I dumbed it down for myself. And I think this is something that I would encourage all of us that are in business, or all of us that are wanting to get into business. Look at the business that we're working for and see where they are in their life cycle. If we're in business for ourselves, let's look at where we are in our business life cycle and adjust. You know, what do you need to do to breathe life? What do we need to do to breathe life back into the company? What do we need to do to change? If we're at the everything I'm at turns to gold, be careful. Focus on your business. Don't get sidetracked, because it's very easy for all of us to, it's like we're squirrels. We're squirrels. There's a bone there, or like a dog with a bone. Something over there, something over there. Because, you know, in the go-go or adolescent stages of our business, okay, now we're sitting on a little bit of money. Now everybody assumes, like my employees, and I think I've said this in other podcasts, my employees think I'm the know-all of medications. They come to me for prescription advice, doctor advice, legal advice, marriage advice, therapy advice. But, you know, I'm not an expert in any of those things. I'm not even an expert in what I do. I'm learning just like all of us. But I take what I learn and I implement it into every day. How can I be a better person? How can I be a better employer? How can I be a better operator? How can I be a better contractor? How can I be a better servant to my clients? Well, learning and growing, and like on the last episode we did on asphalt preservation, that's how I feel I'm giving back, is I'm learning, I'm growing, and keeping it livelihood. I drive the people that work for me crazy, because everybody that works for me says, Scott, why can't we just keep it stable? Why do we need to go out and invest in that or buy this? Or because it's an improvement. It's part of what we do. It's part of making the world a better place for where we live. So anyway, I'll end on that. And any questions, comments, any input you guys have, click a thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you guys do. Enjoy, and we'll see you on the next episode.